Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my channel. Up on the stand, we've got Mr. Phineas. Phineas is long overdue for a bath. The trials and tribulations of being a master champion means sometimes you're last in line for a bath. And, you know, he doesn't mind because, he hates it. He hates it so much. But I got to get the boys done. It's already November. Granted, it's only early November. You'll see this probably mid to end November. But it has to be done. So what I did before we got him on camera is, of course, I did his hooves. And I also did a surface brushing. I did not do a thorough brushing of him for a couple of reasons. One, he's covered in his own pee, because it's breeding season and that's what they do to make themselves sexy. And two, I know, buddy, I know. It doesn't make sense on him to torture him trying to brush those all out when I can get them shampooed, get all that urine out, the stickiness, because their urine, I should say their sexy urine is, you know, a nice, thick, sticky mess. He's going to probably require a double bath, meaning 2 shampoos on each side, which is why, 1, I have extra shampoo out, and 2, I have, I did a couple of things off camera before we started, just so this video isn't going to be as long as it possibly could be, depending on how cooperative his coat is. So as I shampoo him out, here's where we are in the real time. This is one of the few videos that don't get published in real time, not for any other reason than I kind of need a backup stack for when I don't get grooming done. Plus I do 2 a week. And I've kind of figured, after trialing publishing 2 a week, I think 1 a week is the right level for these guys. So I do have a backup stack of grooming videos. Everything else you see is pretty much close to real time. It's not instant real time, although lately it has been. But these guys are quite a bit on a delay of several weeks. And that is, for me, actually critical, right? So today we set the clocks back last night, so everybody got an extra hour of sleep, except for people like me whose animals don't understand time changes. So instead of wanting fed at 6, they wanted fed at 5. And it actually brought forward an interesting conundrum. Like that word? That's my $1 million word for today. For the winter, right? So this is the time of the year where it gets dark really early, like dark by 5 kind of early, you know? And I don't know exactly how I'm going to pull off videos when, you know, I work during what will be the sunlight hours and don't necessarily have the time always to run out on a lunch hour or something. Plus, of course, come January, I'm going to be in the office much more often. So, yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with videos in the winter when taking them in the dark obviously isn't realistic. 1, because all the animals go to bed, and 2, because it's dark and you probably wouldn't see anything. And I don't think videos with flash, not the goat flash, but actual lighting flash, is the correct focus for us. I mean, I have done nighttime videos when I'm walking out to the barn in the middle of the night to see baby goats, but that's a whole different story. So we're going to figure it out, but there could be a couple of days in here where either I miss a posting or I have a really shortened round of quick 2-3 minute videos instead of some of the longer ones, just to maximize my daylight hours. right? So we will see. We will get it figured out. Meanwhile, like I said, today is the day of the time change. I am going to be headed out on a business trip next week. So I will be long back before you see this. So I'm going to batch up a bunch of videos today for next week. If you've been watching recently, I had depending, I guess I shouldn't say recently. I don't know how to explain this. So if you've been watching end of October, early November, you noticed probably that some of the videos were published, same day they were taken, right? Especially Halloween. I had a bit of an emergency family trip that I had to take due to a death in the family. And so things got a little bit backed up, but at the same time, we got through it. Didn't miss a beat. You guys didn't notice. So now same thing. I got a business trip coming up. I'm trying to make sure you guys don't miss a beat. And so I'll batch up a bunch of videos this week and get them posted next week. And then when I get home at the end of next week, we'll get back to normalcy. So, I'm just kind of figuring this out as we go, right? This is the first year that I've been doing videos all year long and not just during kidding season. You guys have grown my community, which is amazing. By the way, if you're here and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, would you? We're almost to 750 subscribers as of this recording, which is like 700 more than I expected to have. Again, in the world of YouTube, that still makes me, a 0.01% of the bottom category, and I'm perfectly fine being there. But there's many more of you than I expected, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do something a little bit different than I do with the other goats. Typically, I shampoo, I condition, which is actually what I'm doing now. I'm going to condition his coat, then I brush, and we're done. This is going to be a multi-step process with him. So I did shampoo. Now we're conditioning, and my conditioner has run out, at least run out of the ability for the pump to work. So we're just going to get rid of the pump. I hate those pumps anyway. We'll talk about that in a second. So I'm going to condition him, even though he's not fully clean, and let that sit while I start the other side. Then I'm going to rinse off this conditioner. I might try and brush a little bit through, but really I'm looking to soften up and loosen up all this urine, all this dirt, all this yuck that he's collected through the breeding season. Then I'm going to end up washing and conditioning him again, because even as I'm doing this, right, there are tangles here. His underbelly is disgusting. It's going to require a second round. And I think by doing the interim condition, we're going to help that along and not torture him quite as much. Plus, as you all know, he's a master champion, so we're going to use scissors more than I would on a show goat. But see, I can get a brush through most of his coat right now with the conditioner in. So I think once we rinse, shampoo, and condition again with him, we will be in really good shape. And again, I'm going to probably cut a lot of the underbelly because it's just gross and it's not worth staying. Meanwhile, from a temperature perspective, life is pretty good right now. I actually held off on doing the boys. I just ran out of time, right? So I did the showgirls. And then you saw I got most of the rest of the does done. And, finished them off before this trip I had to take, thankfully. And I chose the days for the girls on purpose because I thought we were going to run into colder weather. I know, thank you. I thought we were going to run into colder weather, and I was like, well, the boys who are not pregnant are in much better shape to handle a little bit of chill. Meanwhile, it's going to be nearly 60 degrees Fahrenheit today. It is probably the last hurrah for warmer weather, but it's actually warmer today than it was when I did those last round of girls. So, you know, best laid plans, right? I should have done the boys and then done the girls. And that would have actually worked better for me just from a schedule perspective. But hey, yeah, so be it. Phineas is going to take the longest because of this double process. Thorn probably will not need a double process. He's still going to be covered in pee, but since his breeder had given him quite the trim, the pee isn't getting on his coat. It's really just on his underbelly. And since there's no hair there, it should wash off on the first wash. So he won't need a double process. He'll be next on the stand. But that's kind of where we are in farmland. We're, you know, we've emptied the grow out pen finally. So no more baby birds in the grow out pen, one less place to feed and water. We've started to winterize the barn, meaning, you know, this water situation. Hi, Hugo. The little dogs are out with me enjoying this weather just as much as I am. You know, with this water situation will be completely taken down, drained, right? So it doesn't freeze. We've already wrapped our water spigot with, what do you call it? Heat tape to keep that from freezing overnight. We learned that lesson early on. And I talked about that once before. You know, so the only thing we really haven't done at this point is put out heated buckets. And I told you a couple videos ago, we do that at the very last possible second. Now you're looking at me and you're wondering, okay, Pam, why are you adding water to him when you just put all that shampoo on him? I need the water to help lather them up. They get dry so quickly that, you know, getting them lathered, even with all that shampoo, sometimes needs a little extra help. Phineas is funny. Even from the day he was born, he was a born complainer. His breeder and I used to giggle because I picked him out before he was born, actually. So I targeted the mother, the dam, and the father, the sire, dam and sire, that I wanted a buck from. Put my name in the hat, right, and told the breeder, like, if a boy comes out and you're not keeping him, I want him. She happened to already have a buck from that particular breeding, so that helped, right? Because, you know, hey, sometimes even though you have a reservation on an animal, it comes out and you want to keep it for your own, and you get first right of refusal. You did all the work. So I knew that going in, but this beautiful beast came out. He's spoiled rotten, to say the least. Oh my God, his breeder's amazing. She takes such good care of her animals, and yeah. He pays even more attention to them than I think I do. So he, you know, was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. But, you know, we had to groom him up. Well, she had to groom him up to take him to the first show he was going to be in as a baby buck. And he was so cute. Oh my God, little poof ball. But she had him up. There's Bailey. She had him up on the grooming stand, and he was screaming bloody murder. Now, he didn't even get a bath at that point. You know, we don't bathe babies. There's just no need. They're cute. They're puffy. They haven't gotten terribly dirty. So all he was getting was a brush out and the standard hoof trim, because yes, even babies need their hooves trimmed. And comically enough, he was just screaming bloody murder, as if she was absolutely killing him. Again, hilarious when he's, you know, 10 pounds of fury. So then we went to the show. We took him home. It was time for his next groom up. He was a little bit bigger at that point, to say the least. So probably, closing in on 50 or 60 pounds. And he still was screaming bloody murder. He would try and lay down to prevent us from touching him. He just does not like the grooming stand. He doesn't like to be groomed. And it's not because he wasn't, look at me, I've got conditioner all over me. It's not because he doesn't, he wasn't socialized or he wasn't touched. He just doesn't like it. And he's a jerk about it. But that's all right. We can let him be a jerk about some things. He did his job. He appears to have gotten all the girls pregnant. Again, we're not confirmed. Got to wait and see for a while yet, because I don't confirm with medical testing. I confirm with the fact that babies arrive. But you can see how I can get a brush through his hair. But there are some spots down here that are kind of just gross and clumpy. I don't know if I can show, some of which I'll work on after this second shampoo and condition. Some of which we're just going to cut because there's no point, like this thing here. I mean, I can tell you right now, I'm not going to spend all this time pulling on his hair and trying to loosen things up when it's just an underbelly thing that nobody will see. So that's when my Master Champion trim comes into play. And I literally, I'm not looking to trim his hair and give him a haircut. I'm looking to prevent him from having to be, totally tortured for a knot like that. Just not worth it. And that's a little bit of what's happening underneath and what I'm working through and trying to get through. So I knew I would run out of shampoo and conditioner during his treatment. He didn't know it, but I knew it. So I've got some spares in the staging area here. So you may see me have to go grab that. What we're doing now is we're going to rinse off this conditioner briefly. Again, I'm not all that concerned about getting it completely rinsed off because we're going to go in with a shampoo. He's got some bigger clumps on this side that we're going to just cut off, but we'll do that after we shampoo again. So yeah, I think, like I said, I'm starting to talk about, where we are in farmland, and we're done with baby season officially. Baby bird season lasted way longer than it should have, but that was my own fault. I hatched well into August, and I typically do not. And I did that to support some orders. When I have orders for baby birds, right, I hatch on demand, meaning you actually have to pay for your baby birds before I even set the eggs. And so in order to make sure that I don't disappoint, I have to set more eggs than they need, right? So if they ordered 6 baby birds, I have to set like 10 eggs. And typically that covers off on, any fertility issues, any hatch rate issues, right? It's so much easier now to put his shampoo through. This was brilliant on my part. It's the first time I'm doing it this way. Don't mind me calling myself brilliant. That was cringy. But it really was, because, wow, getting the shampoo in and down through his coat now is so much easier than it was the first pass. You'll see it on the other side. So I hatch on demand. Orders are in, and again, I don't want to disappoint anybody, or at least that is not my intent, right? So I don't just set 6 eggs and hope for the best. If they've ordered 6 baby birds, I set in and around 10 eggs, 9 or 10, depending on the type of bird. If it's chickens, I don't even set that many because chickens very rarely have a problem. But so those last few orders where I set some extras, of course, those are the ones where I had 0 hatching issues, every egg hatched. So I had lots of extra birds, and it's always interesting to me, right? I get people all year long reaching out to me for birds, and I put them on my contact list and explain, when they're going to hear from me in terms of timing. Sometimes we have long conversations over email. They talk, they call me on the phone. We talk about care and getting prepared for them. And then come time that I have availability, crickets. And I've never figured that out entirely. I guess they either found it elsewhere, which is entirely possible, or, the wait time had them change their mind. They went with a different breed. I mean, anything's possible, right? I'm never going to know. But it's always interesting to me that I think I'm going to be able to move these extra birds quickly because I have so many people waiting for them, and then boom, I don't. So I did end up with quite a few more turkey than I would normally have expected to have at the end of the season. But as you know, if you've been watching the channel, those guys went home at the very end of October. In fact, they went home on Halloween. How perfect. Which meant we could finally move everybody out of the grow out pen. So grow out pen is empty. We have no babies, anything on the farm. We have young animals on the farm, but no babies. And in terms of available animals to go to other homes, the only things left are 2 tom turkeys. And that is it. I've been sold out of ducks for quite a while. I think I sold out of ducks in August. Chickens I hatch on demand, but I don't hatch them at this time of the year, even though they're still laying. So there are no chickens available. The geese were long since done laying, and we sold out of them. Of course, I kept the gosling, who still thinks he's a turkey. And so really it was just the turkey that were late in terms of their availability. But that was, it works out, right? I got to go through a gender reveal. Just means I invested a lot more feed into them than really I can recoup in terms of cost, right? When you think about how much they eat and how expensive food is right now, there's just so high a price you can put on birds before they just don't sell, right? I mean, in reality is like I price my birds what I would want to pay for them, what I would feel comfortable paying for them. And sometimes that does not recoup full cost. It's a numbers game. You can't recoup your cost in each individual bird. That's just not realistic. But you should be able to sort of average it out over time. And I found if I'm happy if after all is said and done, I can sort of break even on feed. I don't count medical care in my animals' pricing strategy. If they need a vet, that pretty much wipes out anything. But the reality is that, again, there's just so much you can price your animals before it becomes ridiculous. And that's sort of how the soap shop came to be, right? People had been after me for years to sell my soap, for friends and family, right, that would get gifts or bars. And finally I was like, you know what, maybe that's the way to supplement the loss I take on the animals when we have veterinary bills, or when we're in a year like this where I have to keep birds longer than intended and feed them longer than intended. So that's sort of the business model. It's not a great business model. It's never going to support an employee. See, we've got a mess down here. I know you can't see it, but this is all underneath, and it's right in front of where his penis is, and that's where the worst of the clumps are. And again, just from my perspective and his comfort, there is no point in torturing him to brush out these giant clumps of yuck that, one, nobody's ever going to see, and two, would be painful for him. They're in sensitive areas, you know, and if you've combed out knots out of your own hair or out of your kids' hair, you know that no matter how gentle you are, there is a little bit of discomfort. And so I'm pretty much, it's really all worked down to the ends, which is nice, right? So I don't have big, disgusting messes that are tight to his skin. And that's from my continued grooming through the season. You know, by keeping him fairly well groomed. Yeah, thank you. That helps, actually. If you could do that, that would be wonderful. Sometimes they cooperate with me. He's not cooperating on purpose, but I'll take it. Now I am working a little blind, meaning I'm using finger feel versus getting up under him. He's sopping wet. I don't want to be that wet today, if at all possible. So when he lifts his leg, it does make it easier for me to get under there and see what I'm doing. But I'm really just, you know, I'm feeling for the knots and the clumps. Like they're mostly down at the bottom and hanging. And I'm just, you know, I'm feeling them out with my fingers and deciding if it's going to be worth trying to groom them or not. And after all said and done, that's the pile of yuck. It's not much hair. It's not as bad as it sounds, right? I'm not giving him an actual haircut. I'm just getting rid of the massive underbelly clumps that just aren't worth it when he's not going into a show ring, and it's not something he needs for his health and well-being. This is why most breeders groom out their goats and trim their master champion bucks, especially their master champion bucks, just to eliminate the amount of work that I'm putting into him right now. You'll see the difference with Thorn, right? You'll see how fast Thorn goes in comparison to Phineas. And boys all have the same behavior, so it's not like Thorn isn't peeing on himself. He absolutely is. We've got some big clumps back here. And these clumps originate around the testicles. So, you know, if I'm Phineas, I appreciate the fact that you're just going to cut those suckers out instead of trying. That's what was between his testicle and his leg, which is a friction point. So I expect that to be clumpy. In a show goat, that could not be cut, right? That is something that the judge might actually touch. That is an area that needs to be maintained. But in a goat that's never going back in the show ring, it can just be cut off. And frankly, I'm sure he appreciates that. So at this point, we've worked front to back. He's fairly well knot-free, clump-free. He's clean, yay. And he needed it because he stunk to holy heck, which again is normal. I don't know if you're seeing the floor or not. I'm not sure. I'm starting to collect some water here. There is a drain in this floor, and the water will actually drain. It's not at the moment because it's probably clogged. And if I were to bend down and just pull, yeah. See, as the water flows through, all his loose hairs that I'm not catching get stuck in that drain cover. So that's where we're at. So now, same thing this side. We're going to rinse out, or at least partially. Oh, that got a little chilly for a second. That is why I keep my hand in the water stream, so that I don't get temperature changes that are detrimental to him. But yeah, there you go. Great. Now I just got myself sopping wet. Thanks, bud. So yeah, So this is the grooming process. This interim conditioning step was sort of a last minute thought as I was working the shampoo through. I was like, you know, I'm going to give this a shot because I know he needs 2 rounds of cleaning. There's no doubt about that. So we're going to get through it, and you're going to see now, whoops, if I don't waste any shampoo, how much different it is now that I've had 1 round of conditioner in him, how much easier it is to get him shampooed up and lathered and kind of down to the skin. I know you like this part though. This is the massage part. So in other chatty news, right, we just got through Halloween. We don't get any trick-or-treaters here. I don't even know if that's really a thing anymore with all the trunk-or-treats. But we definitely never get trick-or-treaters here. There's houses are too far away, and driveways are too long, and, you know, just what you would get for the effort of trick-or-treating in this area would not be worth it for the kids, so I totally get that. Of course, every year Farm Hubby has to go get a bag of candy, quote unquote, just in case. It's also just in case it happens to be one of his favorite candies. And it's amazing how we always have a full bag of candy left at the end of the year. You know, in the 7 years we've been here, I can't believe it's been that long already, we've never had a trick-or-treater, but we always have to have a bag of candy just in case. Isn't that right, mister? So you saw how much easier it is for me to get, 1, the lather going, and 2, to get things sort of raked down to his skin. Whereas the first pass, I really was having trouble getting down to his skin. I was able to get his hair lathered up, but I like to get down to their skin. I want to get their skin and their, you know, normally what we would call our scalp, right? I want to get that all clean, right? If we're going through this effort, if we're going to make him miserable, we're going to get it all done. And he's actually, despite the yelling, he's being pretty good. He's been much more of a yeller in past, and I have some videos that, you know, from when he was a baby, his breeder and I laughing and sending things back and forth. This is long before I was YouTubing and long before I was trying to do some commentary. So I was thinking about, you know, every day, those Facebook memories and my OneDrive memories and every other place I have photos and videos stored pop up. And recently, I've had a lot of kitten videos of Bob and Bobby socks pop up because we got them in October. And I was debating throwing up some of those videos as sort of, you know, fun throwback videos. But they've got no commentary, they've got no voiceover, they've got no music, right? They weren't intended for broader consumption. A lot of times it's the Farm Hubby and I talking, or it's just complete silence because I'm just trying to capture a cute thing. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do I put some throwback videos up even though they're not real videos, right? They weren't taken for that purpose. They were taken, you know, they're 30-second videos, they're maybe a minute, and they were taken for, you know, oh, look how cute, let's keep this as a memory, right? I don't know, I'd love your opinion on that because I don't want to toy around with digging up those videos. I'm certainly not going to try and add voiceovers or commentary. I'm just not that fancy. I just don't have that in me. All right, same way that these are up in the raw. You get what you get, and that's what you get. So you'll notice the difference now as I brush him through, how much different his coat even sounds with that second round, how much less work on any knots there might be. Of course, like I said, we're cutting some knots like this mess here. I am not even going to bother with. He's grinding his teeth because he's mad. He's voicing his anger. I don't know if it's anger so much as just, I don't want to be, goats don't want to be confined, right? But you see, what I was able to do there is take the big clump that would have been just miserable to work through, get that out of the way, and then the rest of the hair, except maybe right here, pretty much is able to be combed out. And that is why, I don't mind. Oh, look at that. That is nothing but a clump of yuck. And that would take way too much time and way too much effort and too much discomfort for me to cut something like that out, or to not cut something like that out. So yeah, these bottom pieces that are long, that are dragging in the dirt, that are getting peed on, just not worth it. And then once I have them out of the way, the rest of them is fairly straightforward, fairly easy. He's not as uncomfortable. Hugo and Bailey are in the background again. It's nice when they come back to check in with me, so I know they're still around. Sophie is off exploring somewhere. Last I saw her, she was checking out the grow out pen where she used to chase the birds. And since there's no birds there, she was looking a little frustrated. I know, buddy. We cut the good stuff. There we go. There we go. I know. So we are almost done with him. It's a longer video, I know, but I also knew that this is what he does. This is what he did when he was a little baby too, is he would sit down like a dog and try and prevent you from working on him. He's been pretty good up to this point, other than the noise. So I can't blame him. But yeah, anyway, going back to these throwback videos. Are you interested in them? Would they be something that would entertain you, even though, like I said, they weren't quote unquote intended for this? They're actually, they were just clips that were taken for purposes of our memory. We're going to do his head now, and he hates this more than anything. So hang tight. It's going to get loud probably. Yes, thank you. So these throwbacks, at least the ones that are showing up in my memories right now, are of Bob and Bobby socks as kittens, true kittens, right? They're in the tack room. We haven't even let them loose yet. They hadn't been spayed or neutered yet. They were still too young to be free. They were born barn kitties, but we were taming them down. We were socializing them. So they lived in the tack room for about the first 6 months. And, we're in there playing with them. We brought them turkey feathers to play with. Just cute videos, but they were taken, just because the husband and I thought they were cute and we wanted them in our memories, not necessarily intending for publication. Nothing wrong with them. There's no cursing. Well, I haven't checked them all. There might be some cursing. Those I would filter out. But anyway, are you interested in that kind of stuff? I can dig up videos of Phineas as a baby being groomed and giving me just as hard a time as a little foofy baby. I guess part of that is I'm thinking about how to supplement winter videos. I am conditioning his head, just because this is also where they pee on their face. And what little bangs he has left, we want them to be nice and soft. Can't believe there's still a little bit left in that bottle. It won't be enough for Thorn, I don't think, but you have poopy butt. Oh, hello. And that is why I like side rails. I know. You have poopy butt, though. Now, I'm not hurting him at all. He just doesn't like it. There, we're done. You had some schmutz on your butt. Did I rinse this side? I don't think I rinsed this side, did I? I did not rinse this side. Talking too much. So let me know in the comments down below if throwback videos are something you'd be interested in. Might help supplement, the deep, dark days of winter. Also, let me know if you want to see, anything really that we've got going on the farm. I found one more clump as I was rinsing, which I suppose is the universe telling me I didn't do a good job up here. There it is. Well, I'm trying not to cut all your hair off, bud. And since you're being ever so pleasant up until I had to brush your tush. Oh, sorry. Wow. That hasn't happened in a long time. At any rate, since he's being oh so pleasant. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. There we go. We'll just get rid of that. Right? We'll just get rid of that. See, it's not that much that I'm cutting. I am trying to preserve his length, his coat, right? I don't want a whole lot of haircut, but I do want to respect the fact that there's no point in him having to go through all of this. So all those little bits of cuts, just the ends of his hair, the tips, he's like getting a trim. There we go. All right, bud. I think we did it. I just got to rinse your head. Yeah, I know you don't like that either. All right, head rinse ready. Let's make sure the temperature is good. Head rinse. Oh, it's terrible. He's actually the smartest of the goats when it comes to head rinse. He lifts his head up, makes it easier. He doesn't get water in his nose. He's not as unintelligent as you may think. He knows what he's doing. All right, and we still spray down with conditioner spray, with detangler spray, I should say. And even though he's sopping wet, and he's been conditioned, we do that so that, his hair stays as tangle-free as possible until the next one. I have to do that on the other side, and then we're done with him. And he's done with us, frankly. So, yeah. I don't know how long this has gone on. For me, it feels like it's only been 30 minutes. It's probably been close to an hour. I'm always horrified when I see that video length because I know nobody has an hour to spend listening to me. But it is what it is. This is the process. This is how it works. And this is how it's going to be. So I hope you are all having a fantastic day wherever you are in this world. I hope your weather is as amazing as ours. We are probably having our last hurrah here, and I am enjoying every minute of it. And I will see you at the next one. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Be kind. Bye for now.